right, y'all, we back with another reaction right here on ABP Reactions, man. And David has officially been arrested, man. He is in jail behind bars, and right now we finna see 5 grisly details exposed in the David murder case. Let's go.
We believe that Mr. Burke is entitled at the earliest opportunity to an open preliminary hearing and the proceedings not be done in secret. So we are asking for a preliminary hearing to be set at the earliest possible date.
David was in court. The criminal complaint, including the complex murder charge, has been made public, and I interviewed the Los Angeles County District Attorney about what is going on right now. Lot to get into with the latest in the murder case of David, the man accused of brutally killing a 14-year-old girl. We want to break down the statements, what to expect from an upcoming hearing, whether this is a strong case, what the evidence may be. Is there a tension between the LAPD and the DA on charging David? A lot to get into. We're going to start right now. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. So a lot more David news we got to break down. We have the criminal complaint. We have his first court appearance. I have my interview with the Los Angeles County District Attorney regarding the timing of these charges, because there was a theory that the LAPD and the DA's office, maybe they weren't on the same page. We have a statement from David's family. So much to get into. And I also want to bounce this off of my guests later on in the show to make sense of what may be happening behind the scenes, okay? Now, this piggybacks off of what we talked about yesterday when the 21-year-old singer, the romantic homicide singer, was officially charged by the LADA in connection with the death of 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez, whose decomposed, dismembered body was found in the trunk of a Tesla reportedly registered to David back on September 8th, 2025. Now, to be clear, before I even get into the criminal complaint, David is innocent until proven guilty, okay? These are merely allegations, okay? They haven't been proven in a court of law. Just want to make that clear. Now, I'll tell you what, instead of going to the presser from yesterday that was held by the LADA, because we played all of that in our prior episode from yesterday, what we didn't have yesterday when we did that episode, but we have right now, is the official criminal complaint. It was filed, it has been released, we have our hands on it. So let me read to you. On or about April 23rd, 2025, in the county of Los Angeles, the crime of murder was committed by David Anthony Burke, who did unlawfully and with malice aforethought murder Celeste, a human being. So you're talking about a premeditation, you're talking about an intent to kill. It is further alleged that the murder of Celeste was intentional and was carried out by the defendant, David Anthony Burke, for financial gain.
Really?
It is further alleged that Celeste was a witness to a crime and was intentionally killed because of that fact. It is further alleged that the murder of Celeste was committed by David Anthony Burke and that the defendant intentionally killed the victim by means of lying in wait.
Wow. Wait, what did she witness? What did she witness that he had to kill her?
It is further alleged that in the commission and attempted commission of the above offense, David Anthony Burke personally used a deadly and dangerous weapon, sharp instrument. By the way, what you're seeing here are special circumstances allegations that could enhance the penalty. So you're talking life in prison, you're talking potential death penalty, even though there's a moratorium on executions in California. So originally, when you had a murder charge, it would be, what, 25 to life with the possibility of parole. If the jury sides or believes that these special circumstances occurred beyond a reasonable doubt, then you're talking about that enhancement. You're talking about life in prison without the possibility of parole, or again, even the death penalty. And look, we knew that he was being investigated for murder. We didn't know these particular theories, right? The main theory here that was revealed by prosecutors was that Burke allegedly invited Celeste to his house, at which point he was lying in wait to murder her, to kill her, because she was allegedly going to report or expose her alleged sexual relationship with David in some way. That is
Oh. So she was going to air his ass out. And he snapped. And he got a tour coming up. Oh, no, hell no. You about to fuck up the play, my money, my name, my exposure. You're going to... And he got rid of her. Oh, that's a cold narrative. I could see that. I could see that really being a thing. That would make sense. Like, why? That's motive. That's great motive. She was finna air his ass out. Damn.
a crime because she was a minor. So Again, the circumstances of that are not entirely clear. I don't know how they're going to prove that, but that seems to be their main theory, which brings me to the next charge. On or between September 7th, 2023 and September 7th, 2024 in the county of Los Angeles, the crime of continuous sexual abuse in violation of Penal Code Section 288.5, a felony, was committed by David Anthony Burke, who did unlawfully engage in 3 and more acts of substantial sexual conduct and 3 or more lewd and lascivious acts with Celeste, a child under the age of 14 years, while the defendant resided with and had recurring access to the child. So not just one alleged occasion, but multiple. Pattern here. Again, how they'll be able to prove that, maybe texts, witness testimony, videos, I don't know, photographs. It will be interesting. On or about May 5th, 2025, in the county of Los Angeles, the crime of unlawful mutilation of human remains was committed by David Anthony Burke, who did willfully and unlawfully mutilate remains known to be human, specifically the remains of Celeste. Now, you're going to see this more from court in a minute, but David's legal team went on the defensive, okay? They issued the following statement. The actual evidence in this case will show that David Burke did not murder Celeste Rivas Hernandez, and he was not the cause of her death. Such specific language there. Now, in a separate statement on Monday, a lawyer for Mr. Burke's family, Kent Schaefer, said the Burkes are not surprised but are terribly disappointed that the district attorney chose to charge David. Nevertheless, they support and stand by him 100%.
All right, see, here's the thing, though. Like, you got to make this make sense, y'all. Like, here's the thing that fucks everything up. One, you saying, hey, it wasn't me. 2, that don't make sense because, in my eyes, like, it's kind of like it happened in front of you're in a car. Who has access to your car, for one? Let's start there. And if it's somebody that don't know you, you're saying they broke into your car to put her body in there. They killed her and put her in your car. It got to be somebody that got access to your car, which would, number one suspect, be you. And if it ain't you, then who? Because then the who would be like, who wants her dead? And then who would take her and then put her in your car? That's the part that doesn't add up at all. The car is what's throwing everything off. In front of your house, in your car, the car that's in your name, and it's in your car for months. That's the part that's throwing everything off. So it's like, brother, how your team gonna have to come up with something crazy to explain that. How is that possible? And you not know. And you're not wondering where she's at. She's been missing for 1.5 years because she's been with you. And now she's missing and you're not questioning it. I don't know, man. It's tricky.
Patrick Steinfeld, a lawyer apparently for the Rivas Hernandez family, said in a statement that family members were, quote, committed to ensuring that Celeste's voice is heard, and added that upon learning of David's arrest, her father, Jesus Rivas, said, thank God, justice for Celeste. And then we go to what happened later on in the day yesterday. David's arraignment, okay, where the defense requested an immediate preliminary hearing. I'm going to explain this afterwards, but take a look.
Counsel, on behalf of your client, do you waive formal reading of the complaint, advisement of rights, including armed forces and veterans' rights, enter a plea of not guilty, denying any and all special allegations, enhancements, and priors?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you're requesting a preliminary hearing within the period?
Yes, Your Honor. From the media reports, apparently there have been 4 months of secret grand jury proceedings. We believe that Mr. Burke is entitled at the earliest opportunity to an open preliminary hearing and the proceedings not be done in secret. So we are asking for a preliminary hearing to be set at the earliest possible date on the 10th day. Your Honor, we believe the actual evidence will show David Burke did not murder Celeste Rivas Hernandez, nor was he the cause of her death. And we would like to be able to have the evidence come into the light of day at the earliest opportunity in order to establish that. We're asking for April 23rd as a 3 of 10, Your Honor.
So maintaining his innocence, saying he didn't murder her, not the cause of her death. Again, find that interesting because I do wonder, what are you saying here? That there's going to be a battle of experts? It's not entirely clear what caused her death. Are you going to be pointing the finger at someone else? Goes to the idea of the preliminary hearing. So as opposed to...
like who else? Who else? Like, they haven't gave us another name, another option besides the manager. Manager, he came out the gate. I don't live out there, nigga. I'm not his day-to-day. I don't live out there. Then the homeboy done fell out with him. He had the little Asian homeboy. They done fell out over this shit. He calling that nigga a weirdo. So make this make sense. Who would want this 14-year-old girl dead? And who would want her dead in that manner where they're trying to chop her body up and then hide her body in a trunk of a car? Who would have that much hate for this little 14-year-old girl? Oh, David.
Grand jury, which is a secret proceeding. It's more one-sided. You have jurors. You just need a majority to determine there's probable cause to indict. Here you go to a court. A court, you present the evidence by the prosecution to suggest there's probable cause for this case to move forward. The defense has an opportunity to fight back, though, at this hearing. And it's interesting that they're asking for this immediate. They want to put the pressure, it seems, on the prosecution. So again, not the typical grand jury route. I want you to keep that in mind because, again, I interviewed LADA, Los Angeles District Attorney Nathan Hochman, who filed these charges. You'll see what he had to say in a minute. But from there, you get a back and forth in court yesterday on discovery, the evidence in the case, a back and forth on the coroner's report, because as we know, the ME's findings have been sealed. But as you're about to see, maybe not for long.
We have been given almost no discovery thus far. We received a 3-page follow-up report, no autopsy report, and a copy of the complaint. And we would ask the people respectfully to produce discovery at the earliest opportunity.
Your Honor, as I've indicated to counsel, there's approximately 40 terabytes of discovery in this case. Moreover, in order to obtain the transcripts from a grand jury investigation, counsel has to file a motion.
Damn, 40 terabytes.
She knows the way the system works. I'm not able to gather those. They have to be provided after the court orders them released because it was an investigation. Second of all, if counsel plans on going to a preliminary hearing within the 10 days, it is unlikely that there will be very much discovery provided within that period, given the voluminous nature and how long it's going to take to copy onto drives. In addition to that, the coroner's report was sealed in this case in order to prevent it from hampering truthful testimony from witnesses that testified at the grand jury. So an order will also have to be obtained in order to get the coroner's department, which is now the medical examiner's department, to release those materials.
Your Honor, it's surprising news given the district attorney's office held a press conference this morning where they discussed the cause of death, apparently under seal and not released by the coroner's office, as did the robbery homicide unit to the press. So we would again reiterate, we believe that Mr. Burke is entitled to discovery. We have served the people with notice. They have 15 days to produce discovery in this case. We would ask that they do that in conscientious earnestness and as quickly as possible.
I'd ask the court to make an order today. We'll take a copy of the minute order ordering the Department of Medical Examiner to release their coroner's report in this case.
Thank you, Your Honor.
So they trying to call they bluff. Like, nigga, y'all better present what y'all got or else let this nigga go. So do they got something is the question. What do they got? Or are y'all just holding them? You know what I mean? Because y'all don't want to be embarrassed for looking crazy for not having this nigga under arrest. Because I definitely know that LAPD was feeling the pressure. They was feeling the pressure from everybody. Like, nigga, why hasn't an arrest been made? Make it make sense. So, let's see.
The court will order that the medical examiner release the report in this case.
So it appears that that medical examiner report is going to be released. And when that autopsy report comes out, that will hopefully fill in a lot of the blanks in terms of cause of death, what authorities believed happened to Celeste, the potential use or the alleged use of this sharp instrument. And as Hochman indicated in his press conference yesterday, he said the coroner has come up with a conclusion. Speaking of the LADA, I spoke with him, Nathan Hochman, on my News Nation show, Jesse Weber Live, last night. And among other things, I asked him about why David wasn't charged on Friday when he was arrested, when apparently there were these grand jury proceedings that were underway, whether there was any tension between the LAPD and the DA. Like maybe something happened in the grand jury proceeding, something was a holdup, and they couldn't get back an indictment, and the LAPD arrested David, put pressure on the DA's office to charge. Here was his response.
There's an investigative grand jury that hears testimony, can receive documents through subpoenas, and then there's an indictment grand jury. While we can't comment yet until the grand jury transcripts are unsealed by a court, I can't even confirm that a grand jury has occurred. There have been media reports that certain individuals, both cooperative witnesses and uncooperative witnesses, went in front of the grand jury.
So there was this report that perhaps you weren't on the same page when it came to charging David. Your response?
That's completely unfounded. We have been on the same page working in lockstep with the LAPD robbery homicide since they picked up this case in September of 2025.
And basically made the argument that preliminary hearings are common here, again, that they're lockstep, on the same page. But obviously I'm made of questions here. I really want to know where this is going to go. What are we reading behind the lines? What is the strength of the case? What is the strength of the evidence? I want to bring on friend of the show, friend of mine, trial attorney Rich Schoenstein. Rich, always good to see you. Thanks for taking the time. There's so much to break down here. First of all, the charges. We anticipated that there was going to be a murder charge, right? What we didn't anticipate, or at least I'll speak for myself, multiple theories here, right? Multiple special allegations, lying in wait, witness, financial gain. I didn't see that. And also the sex crimes charges, right? I mean, that was another big one where there had been this thought, if you want to charge David, if you want to go after him, is there not evidence that he was allegedly involved in a sexual relationship with a minor?
They found out. I mean, they had that evidence before, like in the beginning. Remember when they presented the evidence of her talking to her homegirl in a DM, and she was talking about she was bleeding after she had sex with David? So they found that in the DM. That was in the beginning when this first happened, when all like everybody started shooting out everything they knew from like Discords and Reddits and all that stuff. That was one of the first things that came out. That she admitted that they had sex. So, but my thing is this, it's always been, who are the people around this nigga, man, that you were going places with this little girl? Even them, what's them niggas, FaZe Clan. You was taking her to the FaZe Clan events in FaZe Clan house. This little girl, everybody's seeing you with this little girl. This is a 13-year-old at the time. A 13-year-old girl. You're walking around holding hands, and nobody's questioning you, brother. That don't come off as weird to y'all. The fact that this nigga is walking around, he's not hiding it. It's not like, oh, he only sees her at night when nobody sees. He is literally doing videos with her, taking him to events with her, taking her to events with him. Nigga, she's in public with the nigga, all while she's reported kidnapped. That's what makes it even crazier. All while her family is looking for her. She's at events with this nigga. And now she comes up missing. And everybody act like they don't know nothing. That's just crazy.
You could have arrested him earlier on and then figured out the homicide charges. So I'm made of questions here. First, let me ask you, the murder charge and the way that they're charging it, it seems like they're going different paths towards a potential conviction.
Yeah, well, they have three different, you alluded to it, they have three different special circumstances. They have the theory that, lying in wait, under the theory that he, I guess, was waiting for her, that he did it for financial benefit, and that he did it because she was a witness to the crimes, which takes you back to the sex crime part of it. She was the key witness to those. And those are all special circumstances that get you up to murder one and even potentially make it a death penalty eligible case.
How do they prove that? Again, I interviewed Nathan Hochman. He wouldn't reveal too much about that. Obviously, it's an ongoing case. But how are they going to prove that he specifically was lying in wait, that he lured her to the house, that he was concerned about his career, about her exposing him or allegedly exposing him?
Brother. This is 2026. You know what I'm saying? I have teenagers. I have teenage children. Teenage children be on a goddamn phone, texting like a motherfucker, FaceTiming, talking to their friends in friend groups. They just sit on the phone and talking their goddamn FaceTime group chats with their homies. So for 1 second, if you think that this girl wasn't talking to her friends, then you, my brother, are conflicted. You are confused. She is talking to her homegirls. Especially, she is living life at this point. She is a minor, but she's living life as how an adult would be with no restrictions. She don't have no parents over her. She's with this guy living at his house, and they just doing it up. He's out of pocket. He's dating a minor. So she has no restrictions over there. So she's probably on her phone, probably on the internet, on a laptop. It's going to be some goddamn paper trails left behind. You know what I mean? Somebody knows something. A friend knows something. They even put out a photo of him allegedly paying off. That's what the photo was supposed to be, that he drove back to her hometown to pay off a young man. I know y'all saw that picture. We done seen it several times in these last reactions where they say he paid off the young man to stay quiet. And somebody took a picture of that. So, you know, it's going to be, I guarantee somebody knows something, man. It's no way. It just makes no sense that everybody's just clueless.
So I don't know sitting here today how they're going to prove any of it, except that obviously they can prove that she's dead and that her body was dismembered, right? Those are the only things, and where the body was found. Those are the facts that we know. I imagine through witnesses they can establish her relationship with David, so can probably prove that. But how do they prove without witnesses that it was a sexual relationship? How do they prove without witnesses that he is the killer? I think the theory is he lured her in, murdered her, and dismembered her. How are they going to prove that he did that as opposed to somebody in his ambit or somebody else?
A lot of it has been she went to the house.
Yeah.
She was never seen again.
Yeah.
And that is like what they really focused on. Obviously, they didn't get into more details, but I guess that piece of circumstantial.
She went to the house from where? Because she's been missing for 1.5 years. So where was she at? Because she didn't go home. So she went to the house from where? Where was she at? And how do y'all know? So what do y'all know that y'all not telling us? Because y'all know that she wasn't home and she was lured to his house. So where was she at?
Evidence, right? They didn't say there was a smoking gun. They said it was the totality of the evidence. Right. They can show she showed up to the house and was never seen again, and it was a property that was in, I don't think it was necessarily one that he owned, but or that was rented for him, where he was staying at. I guess they will establish that he was the only one in the house, or
maybe. There's nothing wrong with circumstantial evidence. There's lots of these cases are built on circumstantial evidence. So the circumstantial evidence is her body was found in his car and it was dismembered. So that is circumstantial evidence. She had a relationship with him. I guess there's evidence that she went to the house, but I don't think we know all the evidence they have because we haven't had this preliminary hearing yet. We haven't seen it. We're going to find out more about the evidence. And the things I'm looking for, what is the scientific evidence, right? They examined her body. What did they find? Did they find his DNA? And what is the witness testimony that they have? Because there's been references to cooperating and non-cooperating witnesses. Who exactly is going to say what? I would imagine that's been a lot of the reason these proceedings have been delayed and pretty secretive.
By the way, so you heard me have the back and forth with Nathan Hochman last night, and he said, look, LAPD, DA's office, we've been in lockstep. That, in LA, there's an investigative grand jury that just hears witnesses and maybe locks in testimony, right? And there's a difference between a grand jury that indicts. And there's still people who will look at this and say something's maybe not adding up, right? I mean, even Nathan Hochman said you have cooperating, non-cooperating witnesses.
See, this is the guy right here. They done fell out. This was like his best friend, his butt buddy or something, allegedly. You know, I didn't see any stories of people say that just because they have some zesty ass pictures together. So there has been, you know, rumors of it being his guy he's having an affair with. But I hear they're just best friends. I don't know. I don't know. You never know, man. You never know.
But I guess the question would be, does it make sense to you that he was arrested and then charged versus indicted through a grand jury, arrested, but now they have to go to a preliminary hearing in front of a judge, which I do wonder, is it easier to move forward in a case in a preliminary hearing versus a grand jury? I guess there's a bunch of questions there as we think about it.
It could make sense to me. You know, again, there's so much here that we don't know about how they got to this point, and you have to choose the strategy if you're a prosecutor. In theory, it's easier to go to a grand jury because it's completely one-sided, and grand juries usually sign on to what the prosecutors want. That's just a fact of life. So you would think, in theory, it would be easier to go to the grand jury, but you have to be able to present your evidence, and I don't know if there were challenges to presenting the evidence. I don't know if there was a feeling at some point that we just have to move forward and get him arrested and get him off the street. We can't wait anymore to finish this grand jury process. We don't have all the witnesses yet. I don't know what the holdup was. So I'm not going to assess the strategy when I don't have complete information.
Now, let me ask y'all, does it feel like, if you've been following this case, does it feel like to you that they either, A, got all the shit they need and they ready to prosecute them and move forward? And you feel confident in that. You feel like, yes, they have it. I believe them. Or do B, you feel like they were pressured and they needed to make a move to satisfy everybody, the people, the media, everybody, because of the pressure of like, what is going on? Because here's my thing. If he goes to trial and he beats this not guilty, where do you go from there? Because who else? We haven't heard another name mentioned in 6 months. We haven't. It's just been David. It hasn't been. You haven't heard a roommate mentioned. You heard the manager, but the manager came out and debunked that he even lives out there. Then the zesty friend, got to keep an eye on him because he knows something. He was around. He was in the pictures. He knows something. So, and then now you're beefing with him. And you like, leave my name out and don't associate my name with him. All of a sudden, like, why? That's your best friend, right? Why are you trying to like disassociate yourself? But what do you know? And it's just, I don't know, man. If they let this one slip, it's like you gotta get guilty with this one. Because if this is a non-guilty, if he gets non-guilty, oh my God, where do you go? Now y'all gonna look crazy. And they ain't having that. They not having that. LA, the DA not having that. They can't look crazy. Not in a case like this. They gonna serve this nigga. And I think he did it. Me personally, I think he did it. But again, it's what you can prove, man. His lawyers seem like they like, hey, come on. They seem kind of confident, like he didn't do shit. But they like, come on, let's speed it up. Present what y'all got. Let's see.
Sometimes it proceeds this way, and they go to a preliminary hearing, and we will find out then more than we know now about what the evidence is.
And, I mean, he made it seem LAPD, DA's office, we're in lockstep. I asked him, I said, you know, there is a theory here that LAPD made the arrest, put the pressure on your office to charge because there was some hang-up in the grand jury, and he goes, it's unfounded. I interviewed Mark Aragos afterwards, and he seemed to disagree. You know, one of the things I thought was interesting, and I mentioned this to Hochman last night, was like, when there was an arrest, your office came out and said, we are aware of the arrest, right? That doesn't necessarily, like, we're in this together, we knew about it. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I have a little bit of suspicion there, too. The best case would be that they are in lockstep, that they are working together, they are getting along. I suppose pretending to work together is second best. At least they're not actively being hostile with each other. but I don't know what the truth is.
If there was a hang-up in the grand jury, what is it? This, if I'm reading between the lines and he says uncooperative witnesses, why would you need them? Why would you need them? Let's say even you had, isn't there maybe the digital evidence, the forensic evidence enough to establish these potential charges, the probable cause for these charges? Even if you had uncooperative witnesses, what role would they play?
I would think that you had enough evidence to get an indictment in the grand jury. Now, I'm just going to wildly speculate here. Suppose non-cooperating witness means we put on a witness in front of the grand jury and they didn't say what we thought they were going to say. And it mucked up our whole presentation because now some witness pointed the finger at somebody else or surprised us or just didn't tell the story we thought they were going to tell. And so now we're left with this grand jury proceeding. We need to present more evidence. We need to hold the grand jury over. We're not totally sure we're going to get an indictment, so we're just going to do it this other way.
This went into another question that I had with him. If the allegations are true, it may be hard for people to believe David allegedly did this all on his own. A singer who allegedly kills this 14-year-old girl, dismembers her, stuffs her into the trunk of his car in bags. It's a lot for one person to theoretically do, and yet he's the only one charged, which begs the question, are there cooperating?
Nah, that's not a lot. There's niggas out here that be killing, nigga be doing some wild shit by themselves. There's some serial killers that could do some shit by their goddamn self and don't tell nobody. But it's possible. Now, here's the thing. A lot of us, we don't know David from a fucking can of paint, right? So we got hip to him as soon as this murder investigation started. That's when a lot of us, for sure, I don't know too many people. I don't know anybody that knew him before this, me personally. I feel like it's a TikTok young generation, you know what I'm saying? But older generation, we didn't know this nigga from a can of paint. But what is David known for before this? Like, what do y'all know about David before the Celeste thing? Like, what in the last 3-4 years is he known for something? Is he known for being a creep to people? Is he an asshole? Is he a weirdo? Like, what do we know? What do people say about him or have been saying about him since, you know what I mean? Because, you know, especially if he's in the industry, it's like he done been around a lot of people. And it's like now everybody is so distant because you got all these people who are associated with him. You know, he's signed to the same the manager of Billie Eilish to his labels. So you got the Billie Eilish connection. You got songs with SZA. Like you have like these features, you have these connections, but everybody like nobody's saying nothing about you. Who knows this nigga? And who the fuck was around while he had a 13-year-old girl just trotting everywhere he went and wasn't saying nothing to him? You gotta look at his managers, man. You gotta look at everybody like, what? That is crazy. Was you taking her to label meetings too? Because you know you're an artist and you about to do a role, you about to drop an album. He had an album about to come out. You gotta go to them label meetings, man. You gotta go in there and play the music. Are you taking the little girl to the label meetings? Is she all up in the offices with you? You know what I mean? Like, this is crazy.
Witnesses, and you're going to make deals with somebody who potentially was involved in this?
So, well, you ask a good question, and you said a lot of things about David, and the thing you didn't say is he's very young.
Yeah,
he's 21 years old.
Yeah.
So this 21-year-old kid, and I'm sorry, 21 is still a kid, right?
Well, I will tell you, by the way, I get a lot of heat online. People say, don't call him a kid. He's a man.
He is legally a man. He'll be tried as an adult, but in terms of decision-making, I think if you talk to medical people, they will tell you your brain is not fully formed until you're like 26 years old.
Shut up.
But put that aside. It is hard to imagine him on his own concocting the plan, committing the murder, doing the dismembering, going out and getting body bags, putting them in the trunk of his car entirely on his own. That does seem to me implausible. It seems to me more likely that there was somebody else involved on one or more parts of that. And that could be what this investigation has been having to deal with.
When I listened to the press conference, when I listened to Hochman last night, it seems to me they are not completely closing the door on charging somebody else. And if you're asking me what would change, whether or not that person decides to cooperate. If they decide to no longer cooperate, maybe they would be charged. I might be 100% wrong, but is that what's maybe going on?
That sounds totally plausible. The idea in these kind of scenarios that you have people who are deciding if they want to be witnesses or defendants. And remember, if there are people who are involved, they don't want to testify adverse to him. If they're friends of his, they don't want to testify adverse to him. There's different kinds of help, right? There could be people who helped plan it. There could be people who helped do it. There could be what we call accessories after the fact. There could just be people who know about it or think they know about it. And so if you're a prosecutor, your pitch to a lot of those people is, do you want to be a witness or do you want to be a defendant?
Yeah.
And it depends. If they think that he is the one who is really responsible for this horrible, violent act, then they will make deals with others in order to pin the responsibility on him.
What about this idea? I thought it was very interesting where the defense says that not only did David not murder Celeste Rivas Hernandez, he's not the cause of her death. That's very specific.
Like, where are these pictures being posted that people have access to them? This nigga is publicly posting pictures with a minor. Like, that's what we need. Somebody fill us in. Who knew this nigga before? How the fuck is he getting this off and nobody's questioning this nigga? This is a missing girl. How did they get this picture? He had to post it somewhere. So he's posting that he's with a missing girl. One, a missing girl that's a minor. Two, and look at the matter. Y'all face to face, cheek to cheek. So what's your, you can't say, oh, we wasn't having any sex. I wasn't sexually attracted to her. Brother, that is a 14-year-old girl. You are cheek to cheek taking a picture. And you notice how in every picture they try to make like her face covered up. So you know you're doing something wrong. Every picture you see him and her in, it's like she covering her face or her face is covered up to a certain extent. You can still see it's her, but her face, certain parts of her face is covered up. They know they're doing wrong. They're basically boasting about it because they're posting the pictures. Yet and still, it was able to go on and proceed, and nobody stepped in to stop it, to call him out on his bullshit. His own team, his label, nobody. The friends, his homeboys. That's awkward. That's weird. That's weirdo activities, man.
It makes me wonder, is there a debate about how she died? Is there a debate about what caused her death? And, you know, are we talking, there might be a battle of medical experts to determine. I mean, we don't, again, at the time of this recording, we don't even have the autopsy report. We don't know the cause of death. But am I wrong in thinking that's maybe where they're going? And I don't think they have that
That
report
is what
either.
I thought when I heard that language, too. He is not the cause of her death. Are they going to say the death was accidental, but some people, one or more people, tried to get rid of the body? Or are they going to say somebody else did it and then one or more people tried to get rid of the body? Are they going to say David, at the end of the day, they're going to say David didn't do it, had no connection, had no knowledge of it? But when you make a more limited statement like he was not the cause of the death, that leads you to suspect it's a more nuanced defense.
Yeah, in court they indicate they didn't have the autopsy report. That's why the court said we're going to basically release it. So how can they make a statement like that unless he told them something?
Yeah, well, right. So they would have to have information about how it was she did die, which means he is involved at some level. And then the question would be, even if you're not responsible for the death per se, there are other crimes here that appear to have been committed. I mean, starting with the sex crimes, because it sounds like this legal adult, as you say, was having a relationship with a 13-year-old.
Wait, what you mean, as you say? Well, I don't know about this dude. Yeah, he already threw one in, like, yeah, David's just a kid. Then right now, as you say, legal adult, as you say, you don't feel the same way, sir? What are you trying to tell us exactly? What are you trying to tell us? You know what I mean? Well, somebody check that nigga laptop. Check his shit.
Which is not legal.
And look, the state of her body, the decomposition, the dismemberment, I do wonder if that's going to complicate cause of death. I remember in the press conference, he indicated, Nathan Hochman indicated that the coroner, the medical examiner, did come up with a conclusion as to cause of death. But if they're debating it, the defense, I wonder if there's room.
Yeah. I think that defense would point, the defense is going to put the prosecution to the test of proving cause of death, and then of tying that cause of death to this defendant. That's going to be the difficult aspect. And the prosecution's going to try to help that with this motive stuff, right? She was going to be a threat to his future impending stardom, and she was a witness to things that were criminal acts, and therefore he wanted her out of the way. That's why they're going to lean into motive in the prosecution of this case. You don't even have to prove motive generally to get a murder conviction, but it helps.
Let's just take a step back. We talk so much about this preliminary hearing. Some people might be like, well, what are you talking about? What is a preliminary hearing? So if you can explain what a preliminary hearing is and why the defense would want it immediately. Like they want a preliminary hearing as soon as possible.
Yeah, the defense, so that is a key strategy decision that defendants always have to make. Sometimes they waive a preliminary hearing because they don't want the evidence presented publicly, and they know what the evidence is and they don't want to see it right away. Sometimes they insist on a preliminary hearing. It is an in-court presentation of the evidence of the probable cause for these charges. It's not a full trial on the merits, but it's a presentation by the prosecution of the evidence they have. And if your strategy includes a possible argument that they didn't even have enough evidence to charge this, then you want to have the preliminary hearing right away and put the prosecution to the test. Show us what you have. And if you suspect that your prosecutors don't really have their heart in this prosecution, that the police are pushing them, which is one of the theories we went over, then maybe that makes you want to put him to the test. Make him go to court. Make him put this evidence on. We want to know exactly what they have, exactly what they're saying, and we want to be able to challenge it right now.
How much of the evidence from the prosecution is usually presented in a preliminary hearing versus a trial down the road?
A lot of it. I mean, there's not much reason.
And cases develop and investigations develop.
Investigations develop. There's not, I mean, for example, if you had scientific evidence, which you should have by the time you get to a preliminary hearing, there'd be no reason not to present that. If you have basic evidence about their relationship and your theory of the case, you would present that.
And would we know who potential cooperating witnesses are?
Maybe.
Maybe.
And right, because that's another issue as to how quiet they're trying to keep that. They got to disclose it to him at some point, so
yeah.
might learn.
Okay, look, this is a very big development. There's things that are rapidly happening almost every day now. At the time of this recording, we're still waiting for the autopsy report to be released, and I asked Nathan Hochman about this last night, but I imagine that's going to fill in a lot of pieces of this puzzle. I mean, if he's talking about a sharp instrument, if they're talking about what the cause of death is, that autopsy report is going to say a lot. What would you be looking out for there?
Yeah, well, I want to see what it says is the cause of death, and is it conclusive? And does that support the theory of the case that this 21-year-old committed this crime, committed the murder, right? Well, we'll get to the other stuff, and then you have to figure out how are they proving he committed the dismemberment. That's a separate issue. But people want to know what the cause of death was and how certain they are on it. As you know, sometimes autopsy reports aren't certain, and that's a problem in this kind of prosecution.
Look, I think it's going to be really, really interesting to explore this and see where it goes. Because again, it's 7 months that people have been waiting for some sort of answer. And to be clear, David is innocent until proven guilty. His attorneys are saying that he didn't do this. So we will see what happens.
If he didn't do it, nigga, he for sure know who the fuck did. Nigga. And it's definitely 99% leaning, 99.9% leaning that he did it. Now, how the fuck he don't know who did it? That'll be some bullshit. He knows. Nigga, it's at your... And come on, just really think about this. In front of your house, the car is found. The body is in your car, last seen with you. And they're saying they have evidence that she came to your house and that was the last place she went. Like, come on, what's going on, man? Tell us everything, man. It's that time. We done held out long enough. Y'all been spoon feeding us, you know what I mean, little tidbits here and there. It's time to let us know what the fuck is going on.
See what happens when the preliminary hearing happens. Rich Schoenstein, thanks for taking the time. Appreciate it.
Always glad to come in. Good
Of
to
course.
see you.
Good seeing you. And that's all we have for you right now here on Sidebar. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us. And as always, please subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you should get your podcasts.
Shout out to Law and Crime, man. All right. Let me know where y'all heads at. Where is your head at with this after watching this? How are you feeling? Is your mind made up? Are you 100% sure that it was David? Or is there still a sense of doubt that, nah, he didn't have nothing to do with this? Couldn't be him. No way he had nothing to do with this. Do you feel that? I don't. Like, nigga, it only makes sense that it was you, brother. You feel me? Like, you better get in here and start. If ever you're a civilian, brother. Hey, you're a civilian. You don't live by street codes, brother. If ever a time to start snitching, nigga, now would be the time. If I'm David, I don't gangbang. I don't live by street codes. Nigga, and y'all trying to pin a murder. Listen, bro, you already fucking with a minor, so you can't shake that. So what you gonna do? What you gonna say? Oh, no, we wasn't having sex. She was just kidnapping. I wasn't contacting her family because what? You letting this minor that's missing, even if you're not having sexual affairs, a minor that's missing, you letting her live with you for 1.5 years and not telling her parents, not telling nobody, but you're taking her around everywhere. And then you're having sexual affairs with her because the DMs came out where she said she was bleeding after having sex with you. So you're having sexual affairs. And then the motive they're saying is she was going to expose you. So maybe you guys got to the point where you was too disrespectful. You probably had other shit going on. You probably had another bitch you was bringing in the picture. And she's a kid, bro. She's a kid. She probably, she gonna say the most hurtful shit. She's heartbroken if that happened. You had a girl. She probably snapped and said, I'm gonna tell on you. I'm gonna tell TMZ. I'm gonna tell. And you fucking snapped. Now the part is, who came to help you? Because like they're saying, this sounds like something that you can't do by yourself. Now, it's a lot of killers that can. But is he a known killer? Is that his thing? Because if you did something out of emotions and just snap and blacked out, once you cool down, you're going to go into a panic. And you're going to call somebody. Oh, shit, man, I fucked up, man. I fucked up. Can you come over here and help me? Who was that person? And that's what they need to prove, and that's what I'm sure is going to come out. But let me know what y'all think in the comment section. What do y'all think is really going on? What really happened? Let me know. I'm going to give y'all 2 seconds to smash the like. And as always, get ready for the next reaction.